Thanks for joining us. I'm Fede Pacheco alongside my teammate and co-host Adam Burke. On today's episode of Hybrid Cloud Partners podcast, we have another amazing partner story. Over the past couple of weeks, we went over a partner that recently started working with us and adopting cloud technologies. Now we have quite the opposite here. We have a partner that has worked with us for years. So every time Adam says, "Hey, I work with partners on this data center optimization team for almost a decade," we have today a partner that will validate that this is true. And they have been so good at it that they've actually been helping other partners along their cloud transformation journey. So I'll let Adam introduce our awesome guest today.
Thanks, Fede. And yeah, it is so great to be here with Coretek today. Ron and Brian, thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate it. Ron, we've known each other for many years, and it's been incredible just to see the growth and transformation and acceleration of the Coretek business, specifically around Azure. Maybe we can just start by having you both introduce yourselves and just kind of share with the audience a little bit more about who is Coretek.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. So I'm Ron Lisch. I'm the CEO and one of the founders here at Coretek. And, over the years, we've really earned our reputation by partnering with Microsoft and our clients on complex business challenges, leading with Microsoft solutions and pairing it with some great consulting, managed services, security, and AI innovation. So it's great to be here, and I'm glad we're able to share what we can today.
Yeah, my name's Brian Barnes. I'm the Chief Technology Officer at Coretek. I've been with Coretek pretty early on, and I'm super excited to talk to you both today and helping other partners realize the value of the partnership. And like Ron said, we've spent a lot of time investing in Microsoft and driving a lot of third-party partners into the ecosystem and our solution sets, and super excited to talk about
Yeah, we're honored to have you and really excited. Now you're a managed partner. Every time we talk about the latest, AI design wins or innovations, you're right there leading the chart. So it's awesome to have, all your story. And this leads us into the first question that we have for you, Ron and Brian, because we want to know what your typical customer looks like. Although I know it might have evolved through time, right?
Sure. Yeah, we started a lot of our business around catering to enterprise-based customers with a lot of strategic projects and consulting. But over the course of the last 4 or 5 years, we've really honed in and focused on the SMC, mid-market corporation side, that drives a lot of strategic value into our managed services offering. So when we think about cloud consulting and cloud migration, we're also driving into a lot of managed security or managed services around that migration. So that seems to be a great fit for us in the mid-market size, and we still do a ton of great strategic projects around manufacturing, healthcare, financial services, and what we call high tech, or the SaaS-based customers and ISV in their cloud migration. So that tends to be our sweet spot for the customers that we're after.
And then, Coretek made a big bet on Azure, about 10 years ago. And, you've really seen a ton of growth over that time. How has that paid off for you? And what could you kind of share about that journey?
Yeah, it was a good 10 years ago. We were actually deciding whether to get involved in a private cloud or public cloud, and we went all in on Azure, in 13 or 14. And we didn't have anything else to sell. So if we sold an infrastructure, it was Azure. So we were in a little early, and it was a little painful early on. But once the momentum hit in like 16 or 17, we had already formed a strong partnership with Adam and the Microsoft crew. And we're really ready when it took off. And it took off, from 17, 18 on till now. It's been great. So it was a little painful getting in that early, but it did pay off.
Yeah, one of the things I think, just to add on to Ron's statement, is because we started early, we really started understanding what we needed to do inside the Microsoft partner community, as well as driving solutions into the marketplace and how we bring a solution to bear in the market. That was really important to help the Microsoft sellers realized the value of those solutions and how they help their customers by partnering with someone like Coretek to do it.
Yeah, and I think early on too, we discovered if we want customers to really go all in on Azure, we really have to help them manage their Azure spend. So we invested early in what we call Insight, which is a front end to our CSP to help the clients drive down Azure cost, and then they got a lot more comfortable with putting a lot more infrastructure in there, and that's been a real win. It's just helping them manage their Azure costs so they can feel comfortable with putting more and more in that space.
Yeah, thank you for going through the grind 10 years ago and believing in us and in Azure. I want to piggyback on what you've been mentioning about how you've helped other partners, and especially those that are on SPLA or service provider licensing agreements, right? Embrace the cloud. You've sure learned a lot of lessons along the way. So for those who are listening, what of those could you take as pieces of advice for our listeners in our community?
Yeah, sure. I'll take that one. So, one of the things that we realized very quickly is with our experience in Coretek, helping the end user adopt Microsoft technologies in the way that they work, we ran into a lot of, session-based workloads that needed to move to migrate to Microsoft. And one of the things that we realized is that there was very unique and complicated licensing models that came back to the customer to realize, how do I license this workload for multi-session use? And that's where the SPLA agreement came in, and our SPLA partnering that allowed us to navigate some of those very complex licensing issues while taking the customer to the cloud and helping other partners realize the value of that licensing, especially when it came to Microsoft RDS and Citrix and different base workloads that use that session-based program. We primarily have leveraged SPLA for that workload. And I think that licensing nuance piece of it was an important thing that we needed to be skilled up on as a partner to help that transition for customers and their customers.
Yeah. I think, Brian, you said it well. I think through the lessons you've learned for yourselves, it's been really valuable helping other partners transform, because I think when you're a service provider, transforming is different than just transforming as an enterprise or an SMC customer. Like you're essentially trying to figure out, how do you change what you sell? How do you go to market? How do you change, kind of your back end procedures to manage infrastructure that's no longer in a data center, it's now in Azure. I know is one of kind of the key things you all did with your transformation is you really made a big bet on CSP. How do you all see kind of the strategic opportunity with CSP, and kind of if and how or why is that important to you all?
Yeah, I mean, CSP has been a great selling tool for us, and then once we get a customer in that space, it's they're inherently tied to our managed services, and then we have the opportunity to again help them reduce their Azure spend or optimize it. And then it gives us an opportunity to sell a lot of other services as well, extend our managed services in that account, implement managed security services as well. And because once their core is in Azure, the tool set is just incredibly expansive. And then you can help them not only get their workloads up there, but help them secure it, help them leverage it. And then once everything's in Azure too, the AI opportunities are huge. I think some of our clients' biggest challenges with AI is getting all the data together in one place and secure. And if they're all in on Azure, that's a lot easier.
Yeah, I think we also, view all of our Microsoft CSP customers as managed customers. So it allows us to have a regular cadence with that customer to release, news about new Azure services, or when things like AI or big, strong pivots in the market happen, we're right there with that customer base, helping them realize the value and how to adopt some of those things that everybody wants to talk about. And so us being on the front line on the CSP side really helps us build great relationships with the customer and drive strategic value conversations.
And then automation is key too. So working with them to automate all those workloads, so it scales easy. It's easy to implement DR solutions, and 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 so again, having more of their infrastructure in Azure, and in particular CSP, it just allows that automation to really be leverageable.
Yeah, I want to build on that potential or expansion, like you called it, Ron, with something that you already mentioned, which is the AI opportunity. So, can you speak to that? I know you're leading the front there as one of our top partners in the space, and what does that opportunity look like from what you've heard from customers?
Yeah, I think, from our perspective, we have a lot of companies and organizations and potential customers reaching out to figure out within their, unique businesses how they can leverage AI. And so there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of customers searching for that information. And I think we've become kind of the thought leadership side on the Microsoft hardware side to really drive strategic conversations on how they can leverage AI to create business efficiency inside of their overall business units. And we've really spent a lot of time building out kind of a platform that we can help the customer realize how AI can be leveraged as part of their AI journey. And we built out what we call Enterprise IQ, as well as an RFP assistant that allows customers to see very quickly and realize the value of what these AI opportunities can bring with their data. And so our first meeting with those customers, we're showing them actual live customer related data in an AI use case. And they start to envision how things like that can be leveraged to accommodate and solve complex business challenges. So I think really for us, it's driving those strategic conversations with the real customer stories and data so that they can start to envision how AI.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think, that answer is in some ways one of the key reasons why I think you all have been so successful is really just leading with the business outcomes first and having that kind of drive the technology use case versus maybe thinking about the technology and not prioritizing the business need. So, offering customers rapid time to value around AI is I think, yeah, that's the ticket and that's the game changer. So kudos to you there. I know cybersecurity is another thing that I think is top of mind right now. The environment has never been, I would say, more focused on it. Internally at Microsoft, we have our Secure Futures Initiative, or SFI, where, from our CEO, Satya, has basically said, hey, if you're trying to decide what to prioritize, the answer is always security, right? Security kind of above and before all else. What are you seeing in the market there? How are you helping customers in this area? And then how is that focus on security also helping you, drive and win new business?
Yeah, I'll take that one, Ron. You can help me and chime in there. But one of the things I think we realized is customers own a lot of different Microsoft technologies, right? They might have them and own them. They might be using a percentage of them, but maybe they haven't adopted the true real value of that entire platform. So for us, security is a really great conversation starter. It's always easy to get a meeting for inside a company to talk about security. And so when we talk about the different security products that they may already own, as well as replacing or displacing some third-party products that might not be integrated as well with Microsoft systems, that really opens up the door of how to better mitigate the risk that their business is looking to do, as well as adopt things like Defender and Sentinel and Purview to tie that security story together more uniquely. And as we kind of talk about that as a partner, obviously there's strategic consulting based opportunities that comes into play, but it also opens up opportunities on the CSP side to sell Microsoft 365 E5, which is the largest security suite around that product.
I think there's a great story out there that if you can eliminate or you can consolidate vendors and you can leverage more of the Microsoft tool sets, it simplifies their environment and simplifies the challenges specifically around security. So I think the more of those tools from Microsoft a client can leverage, it provides a lot of synergies and a lot of additional protection and reduces complexity. And then the more you leverage the other tool sets, the easier it is to leverage AI. So it's a really a great story that Microsoft's put together that just needs to get better socialized in that SMC space.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest call to actions that we have on this podcast is talk to us. We have dco.microsoft.com, and our team is eager to talk to you about your unique journey. To any MSP that's listening, right? You've had that opportunity to work, you mentioned, for years with Adam and the DCO team. So can you speak to that help that you received from the DCO team in your transition, and how has it helped your overall partnership with Microsoft through the years?
Absolutely. I mean, DCO for us was absolutely critical for our launch into the Microsoft Azure, Microsoft partner ecosystem, right? When we think about DCO, it's everything for data center migration optimization. And so when we drive into customer conversations, whether it's CSP or even enterprise related, it's getting them into Azure, but giving them the visibility of how to manage that asset to drive the most value from it. And so that's where we spent a lot of time developing, and Ron mentioned this earlier, Coretek Insights, which is really a cloud management platform that helps them see how they're consuming different Azure-based services, how they might be able to plan ahead in terms of some of the other projects that they might want to tackle, as well as becoming a platform where they can launch automations, right? And so because we have a lot of managed customers, we're leveraging that platform to show them different automations of powering up and down workloads or launching new workloads inside of different Azure regions to help accommodate faster time to market for their individual projects. So DCO originally was a catalyst for us to drive into markets like ISVs who had customers of their own that they are actually managing, and we saw a lot of consumption growth off of that, and continue to.
Yeah, Brian, thank you for that. It has been impressive to kind of see the transformation there with Coretek over those years, and have greatly enjoyed kind of partnering with you all from a DCO standpoint. How do you all see your business evolving over the next 5 years? Like where do you kind of see the future from where you're at?
Well, I don't think the innovation or the speed of innovation out there is going to slow down anytime soon. AI, data, and security are going to continue to become more and more critical and important. I think Microsoft's got some of the best technologies in that space, and it's kind of exciting working with clients to leverage that and to optimize and operationalize that. There's going to be a ton of opportunity there. And then on the services side, I think a lot of those technologies, partners are in the best position to support as opposed to the clients. Security, I think, is a great example. It takes it's one thing deploying all these tools, but you got to respond and react to them quickly, and then and contain them. So having expertise in that space and helping, especially those mid-market customers, monitor and manage that space so they are secure, we're seeing as a tremendous opportunity. And then AI is just, we're seeing so much interest so quick. I don't remember a technology where we've seen this much interest this quick, and I think we're just at the beginning of that. So it's an exciting time right now. Very exciting.
Yeah, to add on to Ron's comment, I think one of the things that we saw and we continue to see is the speed at which things become commoditized, right? When we started Azure migrations, they were a specialty service for us. But as the years have gone by, they become much more commoditized in the market. And so when we think of that speed of innovation, we also think about how do you balance that innovation with governance and security. And so just because you can move at that speed, are you moving at a speed that you ought to, right? And then taking a pause and figuring out how do we secure that data? How do we, build out governance rules and methodologies to keep that data secure? Who can access it? And being more agile as a customer, as a service organization, is hugely important, especially as you engage with strategic customer relationships around managed solutions. because the goal there is really to continue to drive client efficiency while continuing to build out security and governance around your innovation.
Yeah, and I think we touched on it earlier, but we're working more and more with the business owners or the line of business owners, addressing their issues and coming up with creative ways to implement technology to solve theirs, rather than, I think we're selling more to the business community than we are to the traditional IT space. I think that's going to become more and more important.
Agreed.
And thank you for not only doing so much, but also for doing it right. Everything that you've shared so far speaks to the knowledge that you bring for your customers and everybody that you work with, and how well, you've been able to gain their trust and keep them by balancing not only taking them to the next step in innovation, but also incorporating governance and security as part of it. We couldn't be more grateful to have this episode and really to have a compilation of all your learnings and anecdotes. Thank you so much for joining us in this podcast.
No,
Thank you for having
great.
us.
And and Adam and the DCO team has been a great partner, and so we're just happy to dive in with you guys, because we can't do it on our own.
Right.
It's a team effort, and Microsoft's been great to work with and partner with.
Awesome. Thank you both. Yeah, very much appreciated.
And for our listeners, subscribe if you want to hear more episodes like this inspiring story from Coretek. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Stay tuned for more insights and stories from Microsoft's data center optimization team. Be sure to stay connected at dco.microsoft.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.